Need always one of those, hey?
So that's my brand. I'm actually renaming my brand inside of what we learned today. So I'm going to be calling it Natural Neck Lift. So
Oh, I like it.
do you like it? So that's what we're doing today. Is everybody who's here is going to learn the first part of my course. I can't teach all of it to you guys because it's a 6-day course and I have maybe about 30 minutes to do this. But I promise that you would walk away trusting that your body knows how to heal itself, trusting that perhaps we've not been told the whole truth about how we could age beautifully and well. Yeah. So once we're, do I wait till everybody gets here or should I get going?
You can go ahead and go, Jeannie.
Okay. So
yeah.
I am, so that's my brand, is Sajonas Method. Sajonas Method simply is just my last name. And this is the way I approach the fascia. Like Anne had said, that I've been a physical therapist for 30 years. My journey is actually not cosmetics. It's actually severe chronic pain and chronic inflammation and severe fatigue, chronic fatigue, adrenal fatigue, chronic fatigue. And during my journey, I had received body work to help break down the adhesions in my body. But as I was getting body work where the adhesions were being broken down, I used to cry a lot on the table. I used to just be in so much pain. And the amazing thing was, despite the pain I was going through that pain for a purpose. I really got that I was meant to go through that pain. So that way I could teach people not to have to go through the pain that I had gone through. So really in my pain, I had discovered my purpose. And at the time, everything that I was coming across was just really super painful. And as a physical therapist, I understood that if something is painful, what does our body do? We activate the flight, fight, and freeze response, right? The sympathetic nervous system, instead of the heal, rest, and restore nervous system, which is the parasympathetic nervous system. So in my curiosity, I was just like, how do I activate the body's natural healer? And is it even possible for me to break down adhesions without causing more pain? And that's how Sajonas Method was created. I looked at the body and I asked, what is the biggest sensory system in the body? What senses everything that's going on in the body at all times? And if I send a signal to that system, it would begin to calm the whole nervous system down. And then we could really, really heal from a deep level where the body trusts us, right? And that's how I came to do fascia work. So how my fascia work is different than what's out there is I approach it as layers. So Rolfing, if some of you might know, Rolfing, Ida Rolf is the creator of pretty much the first person that had a conversation about fascia. She brought fascia awareness to the people, but she goes directly to the bone fascia connection. So that's why it's very, very painful. And then after that, John Barnes and some of his cohorts started, well, what about if we just approach the muscle layer, which is the myofascia? So John Barnes really popularized the term myofascia release. You might hear that, and you might, and that's associated with John Barnes. So John Barnes focuses on the muscle segment of the fascia layer. So how I'm different is over the years, we have more. Gil Headley is one of the anatomists. He was a Rolfer, but he wanted to see what fascia really looked like and how is it that it's able to affect everything. And he discovered that our superficial layer is about yay thick. It really looks like almost like a wetsuit. Like it was pretty thick, like 3 millimeters, 4 millimeters, depending on how much fat we have, right? So how I'm different is I started to approach all of the fascia layers, starting with the superficial layer. So the superficial layer, if you could imagine a sponge, the top layer where you scrub is the skin. And then the second layer is the sponge itself, which is full of holes, right? And it holds fluid. So that's your superficial layer matrix. That's where your fat deposits And then your that layer holds the fat in place, right? And then the next layer is the muscle layer, and that's what everybody knows as myofascia. But what people don't realize is each muscle fiber is covered in its own covering. So if you picture a cable wire, if you've ever opened up a cable wire, inside of that cable wire are more wires covered in its own little plastic container. So if you imagine the wire as the muscle fiber itself, and then the cables as the fascia layer, now you have, if you just think about it as muscle fiber bundled in its own fascia layer and then bundled together and then bundled together. I really love fascia because it really reminds me of how well protected we really truly are, right? Each layer is a source of protection and cushioning, and it also creates like separation. That's how we know each muscle, like that's why we know a biceps is a bicep versus a chest muscle is a chest muscle, because each one has its own container. Each other organ also has its own container. Our heart is covered in its own pericardium, right? Our lungs, it's pneumothorax, so your lungs are covered in its own protection. But what I want to impress on everybody is the membrane is not, the fascia is not only the membrane, but it's also the fluid and the membrane. So a really good example would be, and we're able to produce this in our own body. Picture like babies, right? Like we start with 2 cells together and it keeps growing, keeps growing. It's already in its own protective container. And as that baby grows in the belly, what do we have? We have placenta and amniotic fluid. And so what I want to everybody to impress on is the fluid is part of your fascia system. So now what I really do, the reason I call it not fascia release is I really can't release your fascia because it's a tough membrane not meant to release, right? It's meant to be contained. However, what I'm impacting is the quality of the fluid within that fascia matrix. Does that make sense? Good. I'm going to just, this is my presentation of the challenge that I'm doing. And you guys could do this today. Do something today that your future self will thank you for. What if what you learn today, you apply it, and then it impacts your skin immediately, right? That's the promise. I promise you, we're going to do this together, and the whole thing that I'm going to show you is maybe 5 minutes long, but you will come away amazed at how you were able to restore the appearance of your skin. So that's the promise, okay? And then we're just going to flash through this. So I want to just touch a little bit on something on how we learn. So what we learn is if we hear it, we retain about 10%. If we see it, we retain about 20%. If we do it, we get 70%. If we do it and share it, it increases up to 90%. So that's part of the course is don't just listen to what I have to say. Don't just view me, do it with me, and then show it, like share it later. Share it on Anne's page. I really want to see those snaps changing immediately. And the more you share, the more it becomes your own, okay? So that's just another thing too is when you see results, you create excitement. The neural pathway in your brain creates, like I'm sure like Carrie Ann had already mentioned, it releases dopamine and serotonin, right? Because you're being rewarded immediately. And when you're being rewarded, what happens? Consistency of action. You would keep doing the things where you get rewarded. And if so, I promise you results. I know it because I've done it over and over and over. It produces results. It's the amazing excitement is there, and it creates consistency of action. Why do I say consistency of action? We are in a society where we want instant results, right? If I could just take a pill, if I could just have an injection on my face, it'll be better. But how often do you brush your teeth? Twice a day, every day, until the rest of your life, right? And so I want you guys to approach the fascia work I'm about to teach you that way. Not one time, boom, you'll see immediate results. But how about long term? How about if we could keep doing it and we could keep restoring ourselves? And also, this is such a beautiful technique. It's so soothing to your nervous system. You will find you will get connected to parts of your body that you didn't even know needed some connection and some awareness from. Okay, so that's the takeaway. Here, that's just the same retention of learning. I just also want to go over, this kind of makes me sad because look at this model. Look at the face of that young woman. But already the industry is already saying to this woman, you're going to get old and you should be afraid of getting old. And if you don't want to get old, this is what you have to do. The cost of just the neck Botox, $600 to $900 a session. And how often do you have to do it? Every 3 to 4 months. What if I could just tell you, I'll save you all that money. I'll give you the power back to your hands and you would know it forever that you don't need to participate in this. Would you like that? Right? Another thing too is an average neck lift averages $5,000 to $12,000, depending on which part of the country you're in. But guess what? Even the neck lift is not permanent solution. You know how I know? I have a participant in my course that she had a neck lift 10 years ago and it's already sagging. And she's afraid that she needed to get another neck lift. Another, like, you know, let's just say average 10,000 and also the recovery and stuff. She did my course, 6 sessions, so like 12 days. And she said, I got more movement, I got more function, I am not in pain anymore, and I could move my neck after doing your course. And she said, I wish I had found you sooner. And I was like, sorry, I just made the course. And so that's really what I'm hoping is, I'm hoping that people would find my information, find it so vital as part of their self-care, so we could actually skip all of this. And just so you guys know, I'm not opposed to Botox, but if you are gonna go get it, find an artist, because this is just not, I'm gonna shoot up your face with poison. If you do it selectively and like an artist, what happens is you get to keep all of your facial expressions, which is, it matters to me because we mimic each other's. If you notice, if you see someone smiling, what do? You smile back. But if our face is paralyzed, it actually impacts how we empathize with other people, right? And so like people who say, oh, I'm just always my resting bitch face. But how do they look? What kind of emotion do they show you? So maybe not so good, right? I want to keep all of my amazing ability to smile, connect, cry with you, frown with you. I want to be able to keep all of that and still be smooth, right? So that's the challenge. So here, another thing too is, what is the hidden mental cost? What is the hidden mental cost of thinking I'm getting older and I don't know how to prevent it? The thing about it is, do you know the biggest reason why we don't know how to prevent sagging skin? The problem is we go to experts that's focused on the skin, right? We go to estheticians, skin. We go to dermatologists, skin. We go to Botox, skin. Plastic surgery, I'm just going to take the excess skin, right? So what I'm going to teach you is to bypass the skin. The skin is a barrier. It's not like, you know, so what does a barrier do? It prevents things from being absorbed, right? So I'm going to bypass the skin and instead go to the matrix or the layer on which the skin rests, which is the fascia, right? And what do? I restore and hydrate it, and your skin would go along for the ride. So that's what we're gonna do, okay? That good? Anne's getting excited. So the Slim and Firm Neckline Challenge, which I'm gonna change to the Natural Neck Lift Challenge, is an education that empowers you to create immediate and lasting results by following 5 simple steps. So I'm gonna gift you guys with step 1. Like I said, it's a 6-day course. I can't do all of it, but it's basically 5 simple steps. So the first step is learning about what is fascia. Fascia is just very simply connective tissue, membrane or covering. It cushions, protects, separates, connects, and protects. I think I said protects twice. It is made up of collagen and fluid. So I want you guys to really focus on that word fluid, because it's not just the membrane, but also the fluid on which the membrane, the fluid that the membrane contains or holds. So I have a really good illustration here. I don't know. So fascia really is everywhere if you think about it. That's a pomegranate, right? So this is fascia. So that's how you separate all of this. But look at each container. So the fascia is not, right? That's the container is the fascia, but the juice itself, I guess you could also say that is fascia. But where I want you guys to direct your attention is look over here. You could tell that this orange is a bit old, right? It's a bit older. How do I know? It's beginning to separate from the other parts, right? So this one is a juicy orange, and you could see how well connected it is, and so this is even starting to get older. How I know is look in the middle, it's starting to have space, right? So this one is really old because you could really begin to have the space. So if you think about it from a skin standpoint, we get sagging skin because the platysma layer, the first layer, begins to be dry, and then it begins to separate, right? So now you have extra skin. So now that's what I'm going to teach you guys today. I'm going to show you how to reattach that sagging skin back into its muscle matrix. Isn't that exciting? Are you guys excited? I'm gonna we're not gonna go through that. So in my course, I go through. So this is the core. So this is the first layer of why we get sagging skin. So the platysma muscle is a superficial muscle. It overlaps everything, but look at how extensive it is, right? And look at how it really comes from above the chin and goes all the way down, all the way to the side of the neck. So we're gonna go practice, right? And if you guys don't mind coming on with your videos, because I could really even coach you guys if you're not doing it the right way. So that's a platysma, right? What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna highlight my video so I could get bigger. How do I do that?
You know what? I think you might have to stop screen sharing for that.
Good job. Thank you. Ta-da!
But it was really helpful to see how that muscle goes all the way down.
All the way. So,
and by the way, I just want you to add another thing. So many people get headaches and migraines.
Headaches, yes. I'm going to course on migraines and headaches. Not yet. I have to get out my natural neck lift first. What I want everyone to do is take your phone. If you're not on your phone, take a selfie. And don't tell me you don't know how to do a selfie, because everybody knows how to do a selfie. And if not, just take a shot of your face. I'm going to show you guys what I did. Can you guys see that? Just take a selfie where your neck is exposed, right? If you don't want to see your face, you could just even make it closer. I also address that in my course. Why don't you like your face, and why don't you want to share it like that? But that's on session 6. That's putting it all together. So now that we're just going to work on one side. The reason I work on one side only is sometimes if you're younger, the change is so subtle you might not notice it. Like, remember what I said about creating results? If you have the result, you're more likely to keep doing it, okay? Yay, thanks, Marie. And so thanks, Tracy. Good. Just so we have a baseline, like how do you know you're improving if you don't know where you started, right? So now and literally, I'm going to teach you guys how to bring back, thank you, the power, how to lift your neck with just using your hands. No creams, no injections, no surgeries, right? So you take your finger, kind of like in this U shape. Remember where the platysma started? It started on the chin, kind of like yay tall, right? So
just bring the one side, right?
Yes. Pick a side, any side.
Does it matter?
It doesn't matter. We're going to do both eventually, but I just like doing it on one side.
And the actual pressure, like how much pressure? Like
Enough pressure to imagine your hand could go through what's Play-Doh. Okay. Enough pressure to deform a Play-Doh. Okay. So it's actually like one of the things we're being told all the time is be gentle on the face because this face skin is really thin. It's thin because you don't have a lot of muscle, but the fascia and the skin itself is thick. And it's, if you notice, if you sleep on a pillow with your face, you don't wake up with your fascia slid all over the face, right? Your face slid all over. It stays in place. And so that's how powerful the fascia is. It keeps everything in place. And so what we're doing is we're just hydrating it. You might start to notice places where it feels a little tougher or places where it's tender. So places where it's tender are places where it's adhered. You feel that? And so adhered fascia hurts. Right here for me, it feels a little tender here. Okay. So we're going from, so we're just getting right into the chin, right? And now I'm gonna get underneath, like actually the bone. So
we're working from the top of the jaw down, not going up and down, right?
You could do either way, but I like actually going from the middle out because you also have, you have lymph nodes. Remember, if you get sick, you could feel lymph nodes here. So you want to direct it to the lymph nodes. So if there's some inflammation there or swelling, you could actually begin to see your face getting skinnier. It's just you're removing the fluid that's sitting there. Yeah, we get puffy. We get puffy. And so from here, kind of like a little bit of a C and back and forth. And you could find where it's, you could find where it's sore. Like see up here on mine is sore.
I get red very easy on my chin. Do you, when I wash it or do anything, it's red right now from doing this. Do you know what?
So redness is actually a good sign. What you're actually doing is bringing fresh blood into the surface. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. If any, so our, we nourish our bodies with blood flow. So actually, if you think about it from a point of view, your skin now is getting fresh blood flow. And if it's too much, just back off, right? Back off. And so it's fascia work is fascinating because it's like Goldilocks. Not too hard, not too soft, just right. And for each person, the just right is different, right? So for you, it might be you might have to do gentler. But actually what you're doing is what we call capillary filling, right? You're putting pressure and then releasing it, and now your capillaries got like compressed, and then you're actually increasing the blood flow to that area. Capillary is just the last part of the arteries. It keeps getting smaller until, and that's where the nutrient exchange happens in your tissue, is that capillary level. Okay. And now we saw, so now you guys could see, now it's the flat surface now. So this is the belly of the muscle. So you just want to come and kind of rake it down, rake it down, rake it down. How's it feeling? How does it feel to be working on your platysma? It's actually quite soothing. It's actually, there's something like kind of a sense of slowing down. You don't want to be aggressive, right? So but you want to be intentional. Good. And then, so I'm going to get, so this is your clavicle. So you want to go, so what happens is we don't get into, so the clavicle is where it begins to attach now. So you're going to find a lot of kind of like owies down here, because there's also a lot of muscular attachment on the clavicle. You feel it? It might feel like, for me, a little sticky there. So where it's like a little tight, you want to address it where it's tight. So for me, that's really tight right here, right? And now we go right on top of the clavicle. So that's really, I call it juicy. That's really sore for me. And then underneath the clavicle, because your, if this is your clavicle, your platysma extends about 2-finger width down. So what happens is we don't do the whole thing. So we have, so like a lot, somebody had asked me yesterday, I did a presentation yesterday too, and her neck looks pretty good because she uses a roller. I'm not opposed to roller because some people don't have enough hand strength to do it. I just like using my hands because your hands already like could feel things, could discern things, right? There's also, you're also sending yourself some love, when you're doing this. So like a little bit of like circular motion underneath the clavicle. You have, for women, just a little bit gentler because now we're approaching also breast tissue, right, underneath. So might be some tenderness there. And make sure you extend all the way to the shoulder because your clavicle extends all the way to the shoulder. Good. Good. And now we're going to stretch. How you stretch is you take your hand like a football field and then look up. So I'm stretching just on one side by kind of like tilting it to the side. So you basically just smooth that out and then you're pulling up. Good. We're going to stop. Take another picture. Take a picture and see how it looks. So mine's a little pink on one side. Any big changes over there? How'd you do, Anne? Okay. Good, good, good. Can you guys unmute yourself? I want to hear what you guys think. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I definitely, well, first of all, my whole side of my face feels so much more alive with blood.
Yes.
But I do see it like this here, like this here, this.
Yes.
This is definitely like lifted.
So that's,
look at the other side.
yes, you could see almost like an asymmetry.
Yeah.
But what you're doing is reattaching. Isn't this exciting? You're reattaching that sagging skin back to that muscle.
Can we go do the other side now quickly?
Go do the other side. Go do the other side. I just like stopping in the middle because it's like, I said, you're more likely to keep doing it if you saw that there was an immediate change, right? And how simple is this? So people ask me, when do I do this? I do this when I'm washing my face. So if you're already washing your face, just give it a little bit more pressure than you normally would, right? I do this when I'm waiting for my conditioner to take hold, right? So I'm already waiting anyway, so I go do my face stuff while I'm waiting for my conditioner. When else do I do this? If I'm in traffic, I start working on it. Any opportunity you get, right?
And Jeannie, how close to your ear do you need to, do you feel?
Go all the way up, go all the way to your jaw.
Oh,
so
okay.
imagine reshaping.
Kind of sore right there by my ear.
If you're sore, yeah. Not in this course, but the reason your jaw is sore is because of this muscle here. And that's why you also get tension headaches. Yeah.
I don't get the headaches, but I do.
So a lot of people get jaw issues and stuff like that. But I just want, actually, believe it or not, the neck is the easiest to make a change in because it's superficial. It's mostly superficial layer. Not exciting? So you guys could save your $12,000 or your $900 per Botox session. Put that into good use. Go on vacation. Although we can't go on vacation right now because of COVID. But what can you do with that $900, you know, even $2,700 a year that you're saving because you've just learned how to firm your neckline without any Botox. But another thing too that's going to happen, that begins to happen, so I do this and I tell my participants, give me a picture. Even though we're not working on the face, you're going to notice if you have deep lines, it's going to soften. And then it's also sometimes your wrinkles over here, because your fascia is just not there, right? It's all connected. So you might be working on here, but you're also affecting this anyway. The reason I accidentally created this technique was I was working during COVID. I had an opportunity to work on my boyfriend, Ashley, because he's home, but he had shoulder pain, right? And I was working on his shoulder, but guess what? This is the same fascia layer as this, right? After I worked on his shoulder, his neck looked better. And I said, I think I could fix people's turkey waddle. So I call it, you know, like when we start to get sagging over here, I call it turkey waddle. Some people might not like that, but that's what I call it. And I said, I think I could fix people's turkey waddle. And he was like, do you know how many people you could help if you could do that? And I actually had a hesitancy about it because I'm not a skin expert, right? And then also my expertise is chronic pain. And the mind shift I had to do is, he said, for some people, worrying about this or worrying about not looking beautiful anymore or worrying that they're starting to look older is a form of chronic pain. And it's true. And for some people, it's even a bigger chronic pain than physical pain, you know? And so I want to address both. What if I could, you know, what if I could ease your worry and your concern that you're no longer beautiful or that you're looking older and therefore less valued, right? And I go over, I'm a healer, so I can't just do the physical side of things. In my course, I also talk about what is the impact of us not caring for ourselves? What is the impact that we have so much tension in this area, which is our voice, right? What is the impact of not, like, what, for myself, what I saw was I also excluded myself from certain things. I would always feel like I'm an outsider because I don't feel like I'm beautiful enough, right? And for some of us, that's a real big conversation. I can't be part of that because I'm not enough, really, is the conversation, right? And to have those conversations. Also, we are in our midlife, right? I'm 50 years old. We are starting, and how is it that societally youth is more valued? But I want to shift that conversation. I want to shift that script into, we have more value now more than ever, because we not only are we beautiful always and forever, right? If we own our own beauty, but also we're wise. We've gone through some tough stuff in my life, right? I've gone through chronic pain, 2 divorces, almost bankruptcy. I lost all the equity in my home with the crash, you know, all of it. And we're still here, right? And what if we put that value back to where it belongs, to where we could step into our eldership and our wise womenness, right? Our, like, Crone to me is someone who's so self-assured and so beautiful. They don't care about what others care about what others think about them. Does that make sense? What if we could step into that wisdom of, I am beautiful and I'm strong and I'm wise and I am just finally owning all of my gifts, and how do I share that to the world? So the Sajonas Method, the challenge is beyond, yes, I'm going to make you beautiful. But in the end, really what I want to give women, and I know there's men over here, you could comment on too, but really, like, what is your value that you own all of your gifts? And how do you impact the world when you own all of your gifts? So that's it.
Wow. That's amazing. Thank you so much, Jeannie. This is so awesome, really.
Good. Take a picture, post it on Ann's. You have a question, Marie?
Yeah, go ahead and unmute.
So ask questions. I have a few more minutes.
Yeah, if you want to ask any questions or anything, go ahead and unmute yourselves. Lena's asking, what about the area close to your nose and lips? Yeah.
Yes, I don't. You could start working on it. You can't really hurt it. So my first course is specifically for the neck. I am developing a course called Natural Facelift. And the same thing, we're going to create facelift and get rid of the eye bags and the smoker's lips. And if you know, I'm 50 years old and I have this. I work like this because I don't have good eyesight, but I've reversed that pretty much. And if you notice, this is not so deep because I work on it.
Okay,
not yet, one course at a time. But I promise you, as you're doing the neck anyway, that it'll start to change anyway. And go right ahead. Go, you know.
And also sipping water, hydrating. I mean, like it's you're trying to move something around that you're not putting in there, right? So you must sip water. And Sue, who's coming on tomorrow, will talk about hydrating and sipping.
So thank you for saying that. So actually my course is, like I said, 5 simple steps. It's 6 days, but it's 5 simple steps. The first layer is your superficial fascia layer, your platysma. You guys just did that with me. I need to slow down because I'm getting so excited. Number 2 is customized hydration. Exactly how much water you should be taking based on your body size and based on your activity. And also to not just drink water, but what to add to your water. And also this idea of eating your fluids. So that's session 2. Session 3 is working on the sternocleidomastoid. So you guys might see people who are doing amazing face stuff, but their neck looks tense, right? The reason why your neck looks tense is because your sternocleidomastoid is gripping. And I'll show you guys how to make that relax. And then number 4 is the Asian diet difference. That's module 4 is what differentiates Asian diet. I'm Filipino. I was born and raised in the Philippines. I came to the States when I was 20. However, my way of eating has already been stuck in my DNA because that's how I grew up. And I'm going to tell you guys how I grew up and to kind of just take lessons from how I grew up from coming from the Philippines, right? And then session 5 is Balinese women's secret to perfect posture. So like during my story is when I got diagnosed with Candida, we actually put our lives on hold and I lived in Bali for about 4 months. And as a physical therapist, you can't help but also be an anthropologist, right? I'm noticing women with amazing posture and how is it that their posture, as a physical therapist, I teach people posture and they come back and they're back to it, right? So Balinese women had cracked the code on how to have perfect posture. And no one is doing this type of strengthening exercises. So I'm going to share that secret with you guys as well. And then session 6 is putting it all together. It's really beyond being beautiful. Like, what is it? What would it be like if women of the world step into our power? What's going to happen, right? So it's an invitation. It moves me because out there in the world is chaos and dysfunction. And what I want to teach you guys is connection, first to yourself and then to your gifts, right? And so we could put it out because I think it's time. I think it's time for women to take leadership. So it's beyond how we could look beautiful, but how to own our own beauty and how to bring that power out in the world.
Yeah, so now I just also went down that road and this morning when Carrie and I were testing everything, I started crying because I was just like so overwhelmed.
I move that you guys are here. I move because this is the leadership of the world, you know? And I believe as a healer, it's my job to activate people's own healers as well.
Thank you, Jeannie. Thank you so much.
I can't come on without wetting my face with tears. I get so moved by people. So thank you for being here. Thank you. You guys have my heart. I'll give you guys information if you want to take on my course. My course starts July 13th, and it's you guys got the first part of it. It's my gift to you. Use it. Love it. And if you guys want to go the rest, I'll give Anne my link, so make sure everybody gets it, okay?
Okay, great. And I will put up all the information on the event page. So tomorrow, let me quickly tell you before we end off that it's Pigtail Thursday.
Yes.
And we have such fantastic people. Sue Hitzman, you know her.
I'm so excited you got Sue. I am really, wow, she got Sue Hitzman. So Sue Hitzman created Melt Method.
Okay. Yeah,
and,
yep. We want to see those guys with their bloody pigtails too.
And she also talks about the fluid dynamic of fascia. So it's a great continuation of what you're doing. She kind of focuses more on sports and pain, but she's my sister.
Oh my gosh, she's absolutely incredible. But Have a wonderful evening, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. And tell your friends, they can still sign up. We'll get them on the call somehow, even if I have to sit here and manually send them copy and paste. Yeah, Jeannie, that's my next thing. This is the funnel thing. But anyway.
I totally get it. Thank you for having me. It's such an honor to be part of your summit. You're bringing beautiful people together, and we're giving such gifts to everyone. So thank you for having me be part of it. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for coming, and we'll see you all tomorrow.